Alright guys, we're back with an update to the hyper-personalized or depersonalized cold email system. So, made a couple changes here, and what I was finding is getting difficult to manage all the testing for A to B testing, seeing what kind of prompts work to get the best kind of outputs. So I made some adjustments here, as well as I noticed two issues that I ran into that I hadn't run into before, even after filtering thousands of different leads. Now, not super necessary because it's so rare for this to happen that you don't really need to add this filter. I did anyways because I want to be able to do it basically in perpetuity. I want to be able to put as many leads into this and just let it run, right? Just let it go. So if you haven't watched the original video on how to build a hyper-personalized cold email system, part 1, 2, 3, you can go ahead and reference that for the bulk of it. I'm just going to focus on the 4 or 5 different changes I made to this system for those of you that would find it helpful. And I'll drop a link below to the 3 different videos for the hyper-personalized cold email. So the biggest change I made is going to be over here. You're going to see here, instead of having just one ChatGPT path, I now have 4. And I labeled them path A to D. And so this allows me to essentially do A to D testing. And it also allows me to give more unique messages to each person that we're emailing. The reason why this is helpful is one, when you're doing this kind of testing to find out what prompts work best, what way to position your offer or service or whatever you're selling, if you're just doing one path, it's basically going to take you 4 times as long. Obviously, right? And so the other benefit is that we are finding the 4 top decision makers in these businesses. And so when you just have one ChatGPT node, what I was realizing is that the outputs, although unique to each person, followed such a similar format that it wasn't that different, right? They were getting their unique output. Everyone was positioned a little bit different, but at the same time, it was pretty much the same email written a different way, which isn't necessarily a bad thing if it works, which the other system does work just fine. But I personally believe in always testing, always improving, never stopping kind of situation, and that there's always room to improve a little bit. And so that's what this came from, is an initiative just to improve it, to make it better. Every extra 1% reply, every extra person we get to meet with, that's all going to add to our revenue, right? So just jumping into the end here, and I'll describe what I did in the beginning to make this work in a little bit, as well as a change I did to the filter. Basically, what we need to do is we need to be able to route each specific lead. And in order to do that, you essentially need to tag the leads. So we're going to tag the leads, either 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, D, whatever it may be. So when the switch node, which is what we had to add here, is included, you basically say, okay, we have our variant A, variant B, variant C, variant D. And once it sees that this lead is associated with a specific variant, then it routes them to that path. And so basically you have 4 leads go in. First lead goes here, second lead goes B, third lead goes C, fourth lead goes D. And then above and beyond that, they all get funneled into their own unique campaigns so you can better track. And this is a campaign I haven't started yet, and so this is just an example of a client that's doing healthcare, or I should say clients for one of our businesses that's doing healthcare, and so I lost my train of thought. Sorry guys, this is just spur of the moment thing, and so I didn't really devise a video around this. I just figured it'd be helpful to share because I saw some people are watching the video, some people are requesting the JSON docs to create this for themselves. And so for the Instantly campaign, we do create a separate campaign for each of them and a separate follow-up system for each of them as well. So what that means is that They'll each also get their unique follow-ups, which helps make it more personalized and more unique to each person as well. It also helps us refine of, hey, what positioning is working well for our offer in terms of follow-up, what's converting the best, what's getting the most open rate, all things like that. So what we made in terms of changes in here is we changed some of the prompts a little bit, just saying, hey, our Spartan B2B called copywriter. This one, isn't uh, really different. You can use the same ones we did before. We also changed the format to basically read just a little bit more brief, a little bit more human, hopefully. And this is something that we are going to continue to improve and update as we go, as we learn from the emails we send. And so basically, this one just says it's focusing something on a website. It's saying, hey, saw your case studies. Here's the example describing a focused roadmap for IT. I'll do the expression so we can read it. Focus IT and process upgrades across your core workflows. And then it basically highlights, okay, saw this thing that you guys do. That's a cool thing. And like I said, we're going to continue to improve this. And so this is by no means ever going to be the final version. It's the version we're using right now. And then it says, when you bring that roadmap into conversations with IT leadership and project sponsorships. So what it's doing here is it's understanding who they are selling to. So when we're positioning an offer like this one, the cold email campaign, the idea is that we need to understand their audience and understand them and what they actually, who they want to sell to. Because if we don't understand that, why would they trust us to implement a system for them? And so for this one, it says product sponsorship. Do you lead with workflow stability and uptime, or the team's adaptability or rollout? So it's a little bit more conversational here. It's asking just a general question saying, hey, when you guys are presenting to these people that you sell to, in short, how are you actually man, my thoughts are all over the place today. But how are you actually presenting that information to them? I'm trying to think of the right word too much. I'm just going to say whatever comes to mind. And then it just presents, if helpful, we have a deep personalization system that finds the right decision maker and drafts research openers at scale, saying human and low cost, worth a compare. Basically saying, hey, you guys are doing this. How's that going? We have something that could be working alongside that. And each of the flows that we have for path A, B, D, C all work along something similar to this, where it's a 3-liner. Item we saw, how are you guys working with that? We have this thing that could work synergetically with what you're already doing with presenting your offers. And then the task, we have a little bit of, I'm going to put this back to fixed. And then for the task, we have, you're going to write the 3 paragraphs. We put the rules here, of course. I wish this damn thing would get out of the way. That's super annoying. Exactly 3 paragraphs, no greetings, signings, because we're including that in the instantly now. So if you go here and you go to sequences, we have, this isn't the right one. I'll go to this one. Sequences, we have subject, hey, first name, personalization, account signature. And so, when you preview it, we have, let me find this is not the best one to do either because we have a bunch of old leads. It's fine. We'll go here, sequences, preview, quantum flow, this guy. So something like this. And account signature is not showing up. What's up with that? There it is. Cool. So something like this. Testimonials, executives on the site point to ITC reliability, responsiveness, and matching talent to client needs. When you share that result with hiring managers or department heads, do they focus more on your partnership style or how you measure service quality? If helpful, our deep personalization system finds the decision makers you actually sell to, like hiring managers, department heads, and drafts research first lines that mirror how you pitch those buyers, saying human and low cost, worth a look. So we find, at least we're thinking that this system might be a little bit more high converting than our original one, which I think we're saying every 1% better is good. And then just to run you through what this does, and I'll go slow so you can copy along, anchor to one concrete detail, present in profile or website summary, acceptable anchors, provide partners, set category, taxonomy services, blah, blah, blah. Just a bunch of stuff about potential things the client could be looking into. And each of these paragraphs is unique for our ABDC D paths. So it is pivoting on a different selling point for each one. And I'll just go through this so you guys can see it. Don't you want to hear me read this entire thing? Some rules just saying, hey, don't be hyperbolic, avoid, hyphens and all those things, which I guess it's not super good at that. I guess maybe these aren't called hyphens. I don't know. I think they're called something else because I guess a hyphen is that small dash and this might be something else. Either way, it's not a big deal that you have those. We can edit that more if you guys want to get those out. And then this is one of the important parts, is how the data actually comes out of the ChatGPT node to get a body and a subject. And so you can do this without even adding some sort of parser to separate them. You can do that directly in ChatGPT by adding something like this, where it's email, paragraph 1, paragraph 2, paragraph 3, which is par 1, 2, 3, and then subject, which is subject line. And this stays the same, right? This is just all the information it's going to be working off of. And each of our paths are going to be extremely similar to that one. It's just going to be different positioning, right? And so you guys can adjust this to whatever position you want and basically kind of just stay in the lines of how we're prompting it in the assistant and in the user prompt. System, just keep it short. Something like this is totally fine. And that way you guys can make this your own. So that's what we're doing. Now, how are we doing that? So we got to come all the way back here to the set variable node. And this is actually super simple. So all you do is fields to set, AB underscore variant, or whatever you want to call the thing. It doesn't really matter. And then it's basically going to have this JSON in it, which that's the whole JSON right there. It's ABCD. Item index %4 basically just attaches this each lead that comes in, first lead A, second lead B, third lead C, fourth lead D, for fifth lead A, right? Just resets after the fourth. And then the next thing before we go into the final change we made is this one, suspended site. So I ran into this recently that I had a filter previously for expired sites. I'd never run into a suspended site. I don't know how that happens. I don't know how you get a suspended site. What the heck were they doing? Were they scanning people? Who knows? Doesn't matter. The main thing is we don't want to talk to those people. If they have no website, we can't get the data, we can't email them. And if they have a suspended site, maybe suspicious, maybe a business we don't want to work with in the first place. So all you do here is you add an if node, and then you have this big old JSON right here that's just bracket, parenthesis, $ JSON dot data. You got your two lines, or whatever the heck you call those things, and then those two, not quotes, but whatever you call those things, commas that are on the top. I don't know. I have no idea what you call those things, guys. But this is how you make it, and you just match. And what you're looking to is you're basically saying, hey, does the data match either account suspended, this account has been suspended, CGI system suspended, blah, 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 contact your hosting provider, things along that line, dot length. And basically this is saying, hey, does any of this exist? And if it does exist, you'll get a number of 1, 2, 3, 4. Anything more than 0 gets filtered out. Because 0 means that none of this is on their site, which is a very strong indicator that their site is active and not suspended. And so we're saying less than 1. So if it is less than 1, that means they do not have a suspended site and it flows through. And then, of course, we just do the same thing we did for the rest of these. And, we just say, hey, it's a site suspended, link to ID, whatever. And then the last thing we did is we actually changed the filter. So I got rid of the filter completely. I actually store it up here just in case. Just like I store some stuff over there on the sides in case I want it later, or in case I need to, revert it or something. But what I found is the filter was just fucking up. Excuse my language, and it was filtering out. It was having just, it was struggling. I don't know what was going on with it, and so I, just went into the labs and we made a filter page through the code node, because the filter through the code is actually much more robust and much more accurate. Unlike if we go back to this filter, you can only add so many things, and it's a lot more generic as well. And so we can get a lot more in depth with a code filter node, where we are banning specific subdomains and banning specific paths of websites, pages that we don't want to find, right? Because if we're finding, let's say, the first 5 pages we're going to find, which are going to be the pages that actually flow in to get the data, we're going to find, if we find login, sign in, sign up, register, profile, user, dashboard, anything like that, that's not going to give us any helpful information, or maybe just a very small amount of helpful information. So we want to hyper focus on parts of the site, like what they actually do, their products, their services, their leadership, things like that, their news, blogs, whatever it may be. We want to focus on that, and we want to filter out any kind of essentially useless pages. And so this is what we did for that. And we attached all of the different types of pages, or at least most of them that you'd find on any normal site. You can increase this as needed. Let's say you're getting a specific site that has specific verbiage for a page that you don't want to have go through your flow. You can just add that in here, right? And you can see how it's pretty simple to add. You literally just do, like a comma, and then you do one of these things, like we're saying, no idea what those things are called. Single dot quotes, who the heck knows? And then you just type in the word that you want to filter out, and it adds. You don't have to categorize it like I did here, but you can if you want. Wait, did that have a comment at the end? No, it didn't. Okay, cool. And I'll just slowly go through the rest of this here so you guys can follow along. I kind of jump around a bit, so excuse me. That's my ADHD brain just going nuts. Had a bunch of coffee today and some pre-workout. And that's it. And then after you add that, everything should work great. The only last thing you need to do is basically you take that first icebreaker path you had and you copy it 4 times, and you make your unique paths for A, B, C, D. You have to do a little bit of editing, in terms of making sure that it's linked to the C edit fields or the D edit fields or whatnot inside your Google Sheets and inside your Instantly. But other than that, it's pretty low effort. Shouldn't take you more than 30 minutes, maybe an hour if you're still learning. But that's it, guys. Hope this helps. Hope this was educational. And like I said, if you haven't built this entire system yet, you can go to the other videos, the hyper-personalized cold email 1, 2, 3, and you can learn how to build the entire system, and then you just edit it and add this, or you can just roll with what we created on the front end. One thing I would recommend, though, even if you do that, I would recommend changing the filter in that one to what we have here, and potentially adding this. You can just delete it manually if you don't want to add this, but what the heck, it takes 3 minutes to add this, and then you'd never have to worry about it again, and it's automated, which is kind of what we're all about here, doing a little bit of work on the front end to save a lot of effort long term at scale. Nonetheless, again, guys, I'm Jake. If you found this at all helpful, I would really appreciate a like. If you want to see more videos like this, I'm going to try and post as much as I can about useful things that you guys can actually use, and hopefully if you're running a business or selling these services, will hopefully earn you some money, right? So subscribe if that sounds like you, and also let me know in the comments if there's something else you want to see, if there's something you find helpful, or comment, if you just hate the video, or you hate me. Who cares? We'd love to know. We're always trying to improve here. If you have your own thoughts on improving this system, also comment that below. We're all about just making things as good as we can, open source, giving it to you guys, and doing the work so you guys don't have to. Anyways, that's it for me. I hope you guys have a sweet Saturday, and catch you in the next one.